What's up, everybody? This is another edition of Motivational Monday. I was looking through them this morning. Somehow we've done 34 of these things. So, so if you're new to Motivational Monday, go back and check them out. I can't believe we've done that many. This weekend, I actually watched a documentary that kind of made me think of one person in particular, but it was on Netflix, and it's called The Race of the Century. If you haven't watched it, I would recommend watching it. It was pretty awesome, just about the winning streak that America had for what was called what is called the America's Cup, and it's a sailboat race. So, and I don't know all the specifics, but America had won that like 100 years in a row, something crazy. It was like the longest winning streak in sports history, and Australia decided that they were going to beat them, and it was just an incredible story. And he said at the end, and I'll tie it all in, but there was a quote that this guy said that made me think of my buddy, and I'm going to kind of fast forward to the other story, and then I'll let you know where this quote came in. So my buddy Martin Conley, I've talked about him before. If you follow 10 Soldier Racecars, you've probably seen us share and post about Conley Racing. Martin is gifted when it comes to a race car. The other thing he's gifted at is turning everything else off, which that may not be a gift, and just race carring 100%. A few years ago, they came out with a new class. It was called DXP Street. Some of you may know what that is, some of you may not. It was a radial class that was supposed to be for the average working person, just because radial racing has got so blown out of what it costs to do it and all that. So basically it was a small block nitrous engine with a plate. And there was a bunch of other rules, but that was the gist of it. Small block nitrous motor with a plate. But the catch with the plate was that they actually issued you one, or I'm sorry, you had to buy a specific nitrous plate, like old school NOS plate. And then they could make you switch plates at any time during the deal. But anyway, they kind of released the rules, and then they had a payout structure. Well, then as kind of time went on, they were getting excited about the class. The payout went way up. So it ended up being like $20,000 to win. Well, at that point, Martin had a car with no engine, which is his silver car. And Cheeseburger, you've all heard us talk about the cheese. He had an engine that was basically an Ultra Street nitrous motor, probably one of the best small block Fords that Bischoff has ever built, was sitting there with no car. So now you got a Cheeseburger with an engine, and you got a Martin with a car. The two, and then they come out with all the rules, and of course the crap talking starts with people, and so they formulate a plan to put these two together to make the ultimate racing machine for this event. And they tell not a lot of people. Some people know that this has happened. Really, the right people know what's going to happen. And when you formulate a plan like this, it seems real easy. It's like, hey man, you got a motor and I got a car. Let's just put them together. Well, that road was pretty difficult putting that all together. And I'm going to highlight Martin a little bit more than I am Cheese at this moment, not because either one of them did more or less. It just, Martin, the way that he and his family chooses to live, to be able, and let me preface this, I've already called Martin and asked him if I can share this, but they've sacrificed a lot to drag race, man, more than what people would ever imagine. They lived in a trailer, a double wide trailer, up until a few years ago, just so that they could race more. All their cars are used. Martin is a UPS driver. I've never seen, I don't even know if Martin knows what a brand name t-shirt is. Everything they do is this so that they can be better at drag racing. And they get this car together, and it's a hammer, man. Anything that comes out of Conley Racing, anything that Cheeseburger has to do with, and then the two working together, which they work together on a lot of stuff, it's a bad unit, man. So they go down there, they post like, kind of maybe like the week before the race, they post that they're testing this thing, and people kind of already are talking like that they shouldn't, that this is not what the class intended to be and all this stuff. And I would kind of argue the opposite. Really what Martin and Conley Racing independently has done with really a budget that's not there is absolutely incredible. So you kind of put the carrot in front of them, and then you make the payout where it's, enough to really start justifying, and I'll get to that in a minute, justifying putting all this effort in. They want to win, man. They're competitors. So they go down and they do it, man. They win. And really kind of win it in a convincing fashion. The other thing that they did is they had a DX. They had the DXP streetcar, and then they had a DXP 230, or that ended up being called Limited 235, which was the class that Brad and I raced our white car in. They ended up doubling up that, which has never happened in lights out history, where a guy or a team has won two classes at the same event. They were the first people to do that. One of the coolest things to witness, I think we went out in 235 in like the semis. So we were just kind of getting to be a fly on the wall and watch all this happen. As luck or whatever would have it, the weather was coming in on Sunday, so they decided to finish this race on Saturday night. And at this point, it's like 4 o'clock in the morning when we're finishing this race, 3 or 4. It was really late. Martin goes down, wins the 235. I think the 235 car was first. They had a four-wheeler waiting at the other end of the racetrack to pick him up. And then he keeps his racing suit on, and they drive him back, and he immediately gets in the silver car and does it again. It was just incredible to watch and be a part of. So we go, they roll both of them into the winner's circle, and they take a picture nose to nose, and they give Martin this big cowboy hat, and then Cheeseburger has this terrible champagne that they've squirted everywhere, and then everybody's celebrating together. So we walked, and I don't know, something in me just said, man, you need to walk with these guys and just take this in, because you want to walk with the people that you look up to. It could be another Motivational Monday, but you want to walk just want to walk those footsteps, man, of when they just accomplished something that was great. And they walked to the tower to get the money. And Martin and Cheese won like 20, or the payout for DXP was like 20-some thousand. They did negotiate some sort of a split. That's why I don't like splits, because it gets kind of complicated. But anyway, they're supposed to win like 20, and then I think 235 paid like 5. So at this moment, they're getting $25,000, which, people would be like, man, that's awesome. Like, you're walking away with this amount of money. So Martin goes, we're up there, and Martin's got this cowboy hat on. He's sweatier than heck, and he goes into this tower like he owns the place, because I guess he kind of does at this moment. And he sits back and he kicks back, and he's got this cowboy hat on, and he puts his feet on somebody's desk that now he's claimed as his own. It just kind of sits there and relishes what just happened. So I watch him count out all the money and give it to Martin and Cheese, and they walk out of the tower with this big handful, and I'm like, Martin, how's it feel to win that? And he kind of looked at me, and he's like, I wish I could do his accent. I can't do it any justice, but he calls me JT, and he said, JT, I had to win. I'm like, well, what do you mean, bud? He's like, the amount of money that I owed people, we had to win. They had sacrificed everything to get to that race. I dare to say that Martin may not have had money to get home on if he didn't win. And this brings me to what I saw in that movie. or documentary rather. At the end of the documentary, the American team, so Australia had won. This only happens every 4 years. The country that wins, that's where the race is going to be held the next year. So the captain or the pilot of the American ship that they beat decided to go to Australia to race again to win the title back. The guy, the captain or skipper, I think they call him a skipper, of the Australian team, he said a couple things that were really good. He decided not to compete in the Australian ones. Another Australian team did. And he said the reason he didn't compete was because he no longer had the fire in his belly to win. So he knew if he didn't have that victory satisfied that urge for him. So he knew that once that was satisfied, there was no reason for him to even go. So he's at the award ceremony where they are presenting the American captain with, this cup, this coveted cup. And a lady, he said, in a big hat asked him, or he said, like, what a tremendous day, something along those lines. And he said this: you have no idea how easy it was to lose and how hard it was to win. And that, we could end it there. The journey to victory is one that, unfortunately, a lot of people don't know what it's like. They're okay without tasting that, and that's cool if that's your life. But I'm built a little different. I like standing in the winner's circle, right? I like standing there and remembering what it took to get us there. And in that moment, watching Martin and Cheese make it to where they had sacrificed everything to get was pretty majestic. And there's actually a verse in the Bible that goes along with this. This is in Hebrews 12, and it's talking about a perseverance of the race that we call life. And it says, let us throw off everything that hinders us. And then later on it says, for the perseverance of the race that was marked out for us. If you're really going to be successful in anything, doesn't matter what it is, you have to throw off everything to win. And that's really what it is. You have to throw off everything that hinders you to win, to be successful. And I watched my buddies do that, and it was awesome. So I'm going to close out with the quote again, and then we'll be done. You have no idea how easy it was to lose and how hard it was to win. As always, like, share, subscribe. We'll see you later.